This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Well, it's time for the Monday Night Raw review. Hope you're all doing well here on this Tuesday, August 19th, 2025, with Clash in Paris just around the corner next weekend already. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. It will be Clash in Paris, but there will not be Naomi walking in as Women's World Champion. And that is because, as we now know, it has been revealed that Naomi is pregnant. Now, I had posted a video. If you had watched me, I actually put it up on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, by the way. I'm posting some videos there more often than I used to. Some kind of like 5 minutes or less, 10 minutes. Just some newsworthy items and things that I just want to get off my chest. If you want to follow me there, check out YouTube. Again, the WWE Podcast is obviously where you'd look. But Naomi went on Stephanie McMahon's podcast, because who doesn't have a podcast these days? And she announced with Jey Uso that they're pregnant and they're expecting. So first and foremost, congratulations to that couple. Happiness, wishing a healthy baby, all that kind of thing. And I do genuinely mean that, because they're deserving of it. And I have to say, there's nothing quite like being a parent. It may not be like being Women's World Champion, but in a lot of ways I could say that being a parent is much more rewarding than any kind of material possession you may have. Sounds cliche and kind of, soft and gooey, but I mean, if you're a parent, you kind of know that. But Naomi, for a professional wrestling perspective, from a wrestling fan's perspective, we are getting our knees cut off at the pass here, because selfishly, 100% selfishly as fans, we don't get to see a full Naomi run with this iteration of her as Women's World Champion, which does suck. Again, from a totally selfish perspective, it's a blow to the women's division. I mean, also you have Bianca Belair, who's injured. That there's also that. We have Naomi go down. So it is a blow to the women's division. Again, specifically because we had Bianca Belair, or rather, we had Naomi, who was on fire, finally found herself, and she gets pregnant. Which, again, sounds like, oh, man, she got pregnant. Yeah, I mean, but for us as fans, selfishly, we're looking at this very selfishly. It does suck, because now she gets taken off TV, and she's going to be, I don't know when she's due. It's probably in 7. She doesn't look that pregnant, so I'm guessing it's 7 months or 6 months that she's due. And that would mean even after that, she's going to take some time to be a mom. And even if she decides to come back, you're probably looking at a year after that. So guys, it could be 18 months minimum before we see Naomi in a ring again. Of course, you could have an earlier return if she comes back at all. But Naomi's going to go and be a mom. And I'm happy for her, happy for Jimmy. I genuinely am. Because there's nothing quite like it in this world. And so, yeah, but again, those of you that don't have kids or don't give a damn, or just are, we're all looking at this through the what about me perspective, it does suck. And I get that, because I was on Naomi's side as well. I've been praising her for months about this gimmick that she's had. And now she's tearful on Raw, showing the clip of her on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. And she goes and is walking off into the wilderness as we will crown a new Women's World Champion, which is an interesting feat in and of itself, an interesting discussion as to who should be the next Women's World Champion. We can talk about that too tonight, and maybe as the Monday nights roll by and we crown a new champion in the coming weeks. Now, that's one big story. And I was totally wrong. Again, on YouTube, I was saying that it can't be pregnancy. I know many people are saying it, but it can't be, because you can't, WWE would have announced it. And I assumed that it was just a concussion, something that they were being precautious about. But it is pregnancy, and it makes sense that she was able to come out and just kind of say goodbye to fans and announce her pregnancy, and WWE now gets to move on. So while pregnancy was an option, I will admit I did not think it was pregnancy based on what I had heard, but now we know it is, and hey, it's a great outcome. Best of all outcomes, really, because if it was a long-term injury for Naomi, that'd be even worse, I think. Alrighty. So that's the Naomi news, as we all know, and welcome to the show here. We are going to go through Monday Night Raw, go through match by match, maybe even cover some other things on the side, but I want to welcome you to the show and offer you an opportunity to go totally ad-free for all the ads you hear throughout the show. You can get them just deleted. You can get them out of your life by going to WWE Podcast over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/WWE Podcast. If you just listen to the ads and you're just shaking your head, well, there's a good option for that, and also an option available to you on Apple Podcast as well. Click the subscribe button. You get an ad-free trial. You can check it out for free if you are just a ad-free listener. I know I do that to my favorite podcasts as well, and it's such a better listening experience. And you're like, yeah, you see the small charge come out. I do it for other wrestling shows as well, not just my own, which I subscribe to my own show, but I actually don't subscribe ad-free. That would be silly to pay myself. But I know that ad-free listening, there's big value in that because you can just listen to your show. You don't have to hit that skip ahead button to go through the ads. And it's a streamlined listening experience, which I would encourage you to take advantage of. Now, let's go through Monday Night Raw. And I do want to talk about the Bayley thing too. You know what? I'm just going to talk about it now. I'm gonna instead of going in order right now, I do want to talk about this Bayley bizarreness that has unfortunately unfolded here. Because last week I was encouraged by what I saw. Last week it looked like things are moving in a good direction. That Bayley was going a little bit darker, but we weren't sure exactly where, and it was heading in a direction that we haven't seen from Bayley thus far. I was worried it was maybe going to duplicate Nikki Cross or somebody else we've already seen, and it didn't. We got an answer this week, and I don't know if they've unfortunately headed that way, but it's a bizarre direction. This Bayley thing has taken a weird turn where she's responding to camera effects. You know what I mean? I understand that they've produced it in a way that it's supposed to look like we're inside her head, but it was the interview style they were doing was just fine. It was like a documentary style that, you got to hear from Bayley in that seemed more real than just your typical sit down interview that they do on Raws or SmackDowns. It was a documentary type style of sit down, which added a nice different production feel to it. And talking about how she's never felt less and wanted more. Probably the biggest line from that promo last week. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm on board. What does this mean? And it felt grounded in something. She's disappointed. She's kind of lost. And this week we got to see WWE unfortunately overproduce this whole thing. And we saw it completely take a different turn where, again, we are supposed to be seeing inside of Bayley's head, hearing the voices she's hearing suddenly. I guess it's supposed to be all of her insecurities and the devil on her shoulder talking to her about you're not good enough and mocking her previous gimmicks about ding dong hello, the role model gimmick, her being tag team champion, like all of these previous iterations of Bayley and the failures she's had and the SummerSlam, all of them. And Bayley's trying to shut the voices out. How is this exactly? Okay, even if you believe this was a successful version of Bayley that we're starting to see, even if you believe this was a success, it was an effective segment for Bayley and her character. How exactly is this going to translate in the ring? How exactly are you going to have her fighting with the voices and trying to suppress her insecurities, and what does that look like? You don't have the benefit of those effects in real life. You can't warp space and time. It's like having an Instagram filter in real life that doesn't exist. You can't do it. It's got to be before you post it, before you release the footage or the picture to the public, you make changes, but you can't do that in real life. How does this translate? I'm a bit concerned, and yeah, it was overproduced. I've heard that word used, and I think it's an accurate one. It was one that it went too much the other way, where instead of being grounded in reality, we're now getting kind of a hocus pocus deal, and hopefully that can maybe correct course, because as effective and intriguing as last week was, this one went just like, okay, they're going to cartoon land. Got it. I feel like sometimes Vince McMahon is back. I swear to God. I mean, he's not, but it's like the spirit of the ghost of Vince McMahon. He's not dead, but it feels like he somehow is still manipulating, certain segments of the creative on a regular basis on Raw. I don't know. So I did not like this, despite the fact that I like the sit down interview format. I'm not a fan of wherever that part of Bayley's headed, if you're going to have her just, react to voices and things that she's suddenly hearing. But there, I wanted to comment on that. But let's get started here as Monday Night Raw came to us from, where were we here? Oh, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, of course, at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. And we had the Vision, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman come out. And Rollins was dressed I don't understand what Seth Rollins is doing. I'm a big fan of the Vision, big fan of Seth Rollins. I like what Breakker and Bronson have become in front of our eyes, specifically Bron Breakker. I could do without the outlandish outfits by Seth. I was hoping we were past this now. I was really hoping that after he morphed into the Visionary, or rather the Vision, I should say, that we would get the outfits of Clownville, that they would be no more. And that's not the case. I don't know. There's another complaint for all of you that say he must hate wrestling. Yeah, well, I can critique it when I see fit. And Seth Rollins' outfits, he needs to find some kind of consistency. To me, it doesn't add anything to his character. It's just distracting in a way that's it doesn't add to his character. It doesn't add to the presentation. It's just kind of like, oh, what stupid outfit is he going to wear this week? And I felt that way whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. And now he's back to being a bad guy. And I think it doesn't do anything for me. I don't care how ridiculous it is, where he thinks these things up, where he finds the material, how outlandish he think he can go or be. It doesn't. You don't want your outfit being a distraction in an otherwise entertainment presentation that should be about your in-ring ability and your promos and your personality. And your outfits should not be a distraction. And I think it's become a net negative for the Seth Rollins character in an otherwise nearly flawless character, for at least for this version of it. So there. But I also had some people, before I get into this segment even more with Heyman, with over-the-top introductions for all the men and an OTC chant breaking out and the rest of it. There's been some people who have commented that I have been critical of the product, but also being critical of the people who say that the product has been boring and there's no direction, and I've been contradicting myself. Well, for those that need enlightenment, okay, here's the revolutionary aha moment for you. It is possible to be critical about specific elements of a television show while also still having no issue with the general direction of that show. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. They can both exist in the same reality, where you're critical of a particular show, and I'm critical of every show. You guys hear me. I point out things that you just want me to shut up about, but it's just my brain. It's how it works. But I can also, at the same time, recognize that the product generally is headed in a good direction. Again, microvision versus a macrovision. That's the difference. That's how they can both coexist. There. I hope I clarified that. Now, Paul Heyman, as I said, comes out and gives the over-the-top introductions for all three men. And Heyman said the fans weren't chanting OTC, they were chanting Paul E. And then a Paul E chant followed. And Heyman mentioned that Rollins has pinned Roman Reigns twice at WrestleMania. Seth held up the mic to speak, but Jey Uso comes out and he stopped on the steps as he does in the crowd and spoke from there. And he said he was tired of hearing the Vision talk and threatened his family. He also had a bunch of children say the word yeet. I don't know. Not a fan of it, but I get why he did it. Then Rollins tried to fire up Breakker by saying that Jey thinks he can beat him and that his family is more important than Breakker's family. Breakker got so fired up that his allies had to stop him from leaving, and Heyman questioned Jey, interrupting them in Philadelphia. Heyman said men settled their differences in a nearby bingo hall by having matches with no disqualifications or countouts, and he talked about Sandman, Rob Van Dam, New Jack, Sabu, Dudley Boys, and also mentioned the late, great Tommy Dreamer. And Heyman said he knew that Dreamer wasn't dead yet, but he said that Dreamer should be. Aha. Got it. Breakker acted surprised that Dreamer was still alive, and Jey said that great minds think alike because the only rules he needed were extreme rules. So, I have to say, good promo by Heyman, and that just almost comes at a default compliment every week. Fun moment here, telling a joke at Dreamer's expense. That was fun. And bringing up Extreme Rules. I mean, there is absolutely no distinction between a no disqualification match, a no holds barred match, a street fight, a Philadelphia street fight, whatever you want to call it. There is absolutely no difference between that and an Extreme Rules match. None. But they're all just marketing. I mean, it's just a different way to label a match, when in reality, it's just the same thing as saying no disqualification. It's got a more fun label to it. So it was cool here. I mean, I haven't heard the Extreme Rules stipulation be used in a while, and having him bring up and resurrect an Extreme Rules type of match, given the backstory with him in ECW. So that was fun. So Iyo Sky was shown at Gorilla, and Asuka and Kairi showed up. Asuka apologized for Sky last week. Sane said to let them know if she needed help. Sky said she knows they would always have her back, but she needed to do it on her own, just as Asuka has done in the past. So Sky high-fived Asuka and Kairi, and then she comes out and faces Raquel Rodriguez. The match went 11 minutes with Iyo Sky beating Raquel. The finish was Iyo going up for a suicide dive on Raquel, who caught her and rolled through. Rodriguez sent Sky into the ring post, and then back in the ring, Rodriguez set her up for a finish, but Iyo avoided it and hit her with the bullet train attack. Sky went up top and hit the over the moonsault for the victory. However, after the match, Perez attacked Sky, and then Rodriguez held Sky while Perez super kicked her, and then Rhea Ripley comes out to a big ovation and cleared the heels from the ring, and Ripley using crazy big boots. I mean, she had some excellent big boots in that match, or rather the post-match. I mean, I didn't know, her legs looked like they were a mile long last night. And I don't mean that from a sexual perspective or anything. Just they looked really long, and that's a compliment because she delivered some excellent looking boots, particularly the last one that she delivered to Raquel, who also sold it nicely and got knocked out of the ring. And it's a nice segment here because Rhea's still getting the desired reaction. The women's division is a little bit thin with some injuries, key injuries now, and one pregnancy in the women's division. So Rhea Ripley continues to carry the women's division on her back. She's not the only person, but she is the primary holder of the women's division. And this tension now with Iyo and Kairi it continues throughout the show, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But Raquel is getting some nice shine here as well, given the fact that, prior to this, Raquel Rodriguez was getting nothing. I mean, she was having nothing happening, so much less an 11-minute match where she has a hard-fought loss against Iyo Sky. But Rhea Ripley coming to the aid of Iyo Sky and doing the right thing is a plus for Rhea, who continues to, again, have a fun, nice little run here and continue to make Iyo look like, she's vulnerable, can hold her own, but certainly needs some help when her companions, both Asuka and Kairi, are either knocked down or aren't available. So, yeah. So, we then have Jackie Redmond interviewing LA Knight, who started to speak about being tired of the Vision interfering, and CM Punk comes in and asked for a second, and Knight had Redmond stay. Punk said they needed to be on the same page, and Knight said he has 2 title matches, or has had 2 title matches, and Punk stuck his nose in both of them, and he said their issues aren't personal, they're about business. Punk talked about working together to avoid the Vision's numbers game, and LA Knight spoke about how he would end Clash in Paris with the title belt in his hand. All right, and then Corey hyped up Jey Uso versus Bron Breakker for the Extreme Rules match as the main event of the show, as it should be. And then Xavier Woods comes out with Kofi Kingston and Grayson Waller, and Cole set up a Triple Mania video recap, and then Graves and a graphic talked about Triple Mania was the most viewed in history with 4.3 million viewers in the last 24 hours, which is true. I mean, when you have the biggest wrestling company in the world take, and buy your promotion, you would hope that it's a record number. I mean, that should come without saying, but certainly a still worthy accolade. And I did see Omos and who is it, Mini-Man or something, or what? I forget is that. I don't watch it, but I saw the Omos segment. I saw it. Miniature Man? I don't know. I'm close. Whatever the hell his name is. So the segment with, a 1-foot man versus a 7.5-foot giant was a hell of a visual. So yes, I saw that, but that's about all I saw from Triple Mania. A little bit of Dominic. I think Bron Breakker was there. I saw some quick things. I didn't really watch a bunch of the highlights, but yeah. So, all right. So backstage, Sky thanked Rhea Ripley for helping her. Asuka and Kairi then show up. Asuka did not look happy and took issue with Sky letting Ripley help after telling her and saying that they couldn't help. Ripley and Asuka bickered, and Sky stopped them and threw just an embarrassing, just hissy fit before leaving. Again, acting like this is what I'm talking about. I know that some people have said, well, men can have talking over each other in yelling matches, but men don't bicker like, again, when you hear women in wrestling, this is how they're presented often, right? They're one's talking, the other one's, trying to talk over. And it just becomes almost this high school vibe, or middle school vibe of 2 girls in a yelling match, right? And I don't like that presentation. I've never liked it. And it continues here. And then you have Iyo Sky literally throw a tantrum like a child. And I'm not blaming Iyo Sky for this. She was told to do this, clearly. And it was just embarrassing. You guys are professionals making millions of dollars a year, and you are acting like children. Now, again, I know she was told to do this, so I'm not getting on Iyo, but that's the kind of little stuff that brings down the women's division. A more mature presentation, I think, is preferable, at least in my taste. Not this bickering, yelling over each other, cat fight type of hissy fit garbage. The women, if they're strong, independent women, which we're all supposed to believe that they are, and that's what the vision, no pun intended, of the women's division should be, then this doesn't exactly support that goal. Again, I know, super small stuff. Some stuff you don't even care about or notice. But it's the small stuff that's the easiest to fix. And this to me is just, it's garbage. Not the segment itself, just those two particular things. Now, here are some positives. I know that I mentioned Asuka turning heel or face doesn't really matter because Asuka has been both probably equally throughout her career. I mean, she's turned so many times I can't keep track. But this version of Asuka, if she's going to be mad and she looked pissed, that's a version of Asuka I'd like to see, because even the heel version of Asuka would be obnoxious and annoying and bombastic and cartoonish. And it was kind of the same thing even as babyface. But if Asuka is going to be more of a just kind of an angry character filled with rage, I want to see what that looks like. She had some great body language here to go in this segment. So, all right, Penta versus Xavier Woods was the next match, with Penta beating Xavier in just under 10 minutes. And the finish was Penta jumping off the back of Woods and hit Kingston and Woods. And then, let's see here, Penta came back, hit the Destroyer, and got the victory after Woods tried to hook Penta with an inside cradle. So Penta wins with the Destroyer. And that was good. I mean, Penta, well, it's good in the sense that if you want Penta to rebuild a little momentum, it's good. But Xavier Woods, who I continue to support and hope that he gets a singles run and break out of this stagnant kind of like, I guess, somewhat of a bad guy vibe that we're supposed to get from Xavier. This kind of flat, that's the word I was looking for. It's a flat version of his heel character that him and Woods showed after they turned on Big E. And that's still kind of frustrating. Certainly frustrating, because Xavier is capable of more. I've said that before. I'll continue to say it. And by the way, we also did a Karrion Kross sign watch. And there was another fan who held a Karrion Kross sign of "We Want Kross," which I'm great. Really enjoy that. Yeah. So keep it up. I mean, a "We Want Kross" sign should appear. It is the civic duty of every city who has a televised event to hold just one person on the camera side to have a "We Want Kross" sign. That's it. Just one person. That's your homework. So then we have footage air from Triple Mania of Dom saying he would see Vikingo at Worlds Collide, and Rey Mysterio mocked Dom as they cross paths. And let's see here. We then had World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough with Dom take on Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana in a non-title match. This match went 9 minutes and 50 seconds, just under 10, like the previous match, with Finn Balor and JD beating Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana in 9 minutes and 50 seconds. The finish, always got to go over the finish, because in case you didn't see the show, Dragon Lee caught Balor with a super kick. JD then distracted the referee while Dom grabbed Lee's foot. Balor hit Lee from behind with a shotgun dropkick, and then Balor followed up with a coup de grace and got the victory. But after the match, Dom cleared the broadcast table and was trying to put Dragon Lee on top of it. But Vikingo, right? I think that's how you say it. I'm not going to say it's El Hijo del Vikingo. I think. Embarrassing, I know. He showed up on the barricade and drop kicked Dom off the broadcast table, and then Vikingo avoided Balor and then took him down with a Hurricane Rana, and Vikingo entered the ring, hit McDonough with a drop kick, followed up with a double knee on McDonough, and then Dom hit Vikingo from behind, and Lee entered the ring as he was put down by Balor, and McDonough held Vikingo's legs while Dom went up and hit a frog splash, and they all stood over Vikingo and celebrated with their title belts. You notice that the heat for Dom, though, still is not nearly what it was. And I think that it's because fans are starting to find Dom a little endearing. It started at WrestleMania. WWE wasn't ready for us to start cheering Dom, and they kind of just decided, no, we're just going to keep him heel, and they have. But Dominic Mysterio he's not nearly anywhere near as hated as he was. I mean, he's getting a little bit of heat because he's attacking people from behind, and these performers that 95% of us couldn't pick out of a lineup if they weren't in WWE as wrestling fans. And Dom, he's getting just your typical heel heat, but it's not your go away, my God, we hate you so much heat that he had for almost 2 years. All right, so let's see. We had Jackie Redmond asked Becky Lynch why she attacked Natalya last week, and Becky said that Natalya attacked her and said she was giving Maxine Dupree a pep talk after the match, and Natalya shoved her. So she defended herself, and she would prove tonight that Natalya doesn't belong in the ring with her. What? Did she just completely copy and paste Drew McIntyre's logic into this? Because that's exactly what Drew said about Cody Rhodes and how he said he didn't attack Cody. He was just acting in self-defense. It's it's essentially a copy and paste logic here. So that was kind of weird. But then again, the Bayley video aired, and some more detail here. She looks stressed, and for some reason, again, we could hear her inner dialogue, and her inner voice talked crap to her, and now she's nothing, and the voice promised to steer her in the right direction if she listened, but she plugged her ears and the voice has stopped. And yeah, so it's just ridiculous, again, that we can hear her thoughts. It went from just reality-based to cartoon in a week, and it's a shame. Maybe they can correct course. It's still early in whatever this version of Bayley is going to be, but it was just certainly not a version that I'm on board with if they're going to go with inner voices and all that. Okay, Becky Lynch then took on Natalya for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Both Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa were at ringside here, and Alicia Taylor was, as always, here delivering the in-ring introductions for the title match. The match was kind of quick, though. 7 minutes and 50 seconds with Becky Lynch predictably beating Natalya in, again, 7 minutes and 50 seconds with the disarmor. After the match, Dupree got to Lynch to break the hold because Lynch wasn't breaking the disarmor. And that's when Lynch came back in the ring and attacked Dupree. And Nikki Bella comes out, and she worked over some punches. And Nikki hit Lynch with the rack attack and stood over her. And then, that's kind of it. And Natalya, as always, takes a back seat. Nikki Bella got a decent pop for what she did. And, she certainly hit all of her spots that she needed to hit. I still don't look at Nikki Bella as a serious women's contender for anything. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Nikki, but she, to her credit, hit her spots this week. And how about that for an ignorant male giving her a compliment for simply doing her job? I know. Unheard of. So, there's not much here to say other than, Natalya continues to lose every match. I'm going to look at Natalya's stats while I'm here. I'm so curious. Let's see. Win-loss record for Natalya. I'm so curious of what this is. The Internet Wrestling Database. So here we go. This is going to be interesting. Okay. So Natalya in wins and losses. I think this is only televised events. I believe this is televised only. So she's had 455 wins, and this is career. 455 wins and 568 losses. Yeah. I mean, that's bad. But I thought it was going to be way worse than that. Maybe I'm wrong. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes those stats are fun to look at. You can look at wins and losses broken down by double count out, a draw, double DQ, submission, pretty much any finish you can think of. It's broken down, and she's lost. If you're curious about these kinds of stats, Natalya has lost the majority of her matches by pinfall at 71%. She's lost next closest to have submission by 20%, and then the rest are count out, DQ, and other. So, yeah, about that. But those are some stats I bet you didn't know. See what you learn. You learn these completely useless facts here on the show. All right. Don't you feel smarter? Just say yes. So, we then have Jackie Redmond interviewing Sheamus, and then Rusev shows up. Sheamus and Rusev start to fight, but they're pulled apart. Adam Pearce does what he always does, keeps his cool and blows a gasket. And he said they're not going to do that tonight, but they'll meet one more time in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match at Clash in Paris, which is fine. It's fine. I mean, these two, while I thought their rivalry was over when Sheamus won, these two have a hell of a history, and they work great together. And they're physical. This match is going to be very physical with lots of bruises on both men's bodies coming out of that match at Clash in Paris. So while there's not a huge vested interest in who wins it, it's still going to be entertaining, and that's all we can really ask for from this match. So, I mean, because what else is on the line? Somebody explain to me what's on the line exactly besides just entertainment value and pride. Right. So, alrighty. Well, we then have broadcast team set up a clip of Stephanie McMahon's podcast that would drop after Raw. And Stephanie said it was a bonus edition with Jimmy Uso and Naomi, as I mentioned earlier, and opened the show with the announcement of her pregnancy. So Jey Uso was warming up backstage when CM Punk showed up and said he wanted to help Jey make it to Paris. Jey said he appreciated it, but doesn't want to owe anyone any favors. And Jey and Punk shook hands before Jey left, and Adam Pearce stood in the ring, and as we said, he introduced Naomi, and she held up her belt. She got emotional. The fans chanted her name, and she said this was hard and told them to play the rest of the footage from the Stephanie McMahon podcast. And she said, yeah, y'all need to proceed with caution because there's a baby on board. And wow, yeah. In the ring, Pearce said everyone in the building is happy for her and congratulated her. And she said she bet that Pearce was happy for her and said it's not her first time relinquishing the title. She said she gave it up the first time, but this time she wasn't handing him anything. She said her hormones were jumping and told him to get the hell out of her face. And Naomi sang the goodbye song and did her laugh, and the fans joined in. And Naomi told Pearce that she hoped he tripped in his church shoes. Yeah, that was weird. Naomi said the women backstage should thank Big Jim because they had no chance to take the title off her. But thanks to Big Jim, he likes to Netflix and chill, if you know what I mean. And You Deserve It chant broke out. And on the bright side, I guess the bloodline continues. And she said, for some reason, this led to an OCG chant. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's no secret that, Jimmy is very active. I'll leave it at that with Naomi. That was on, I think, Total Divas at one point. And, I mean, she's even publicly saying it here, kind of awkward, basically like we like to, or especially Big Jim, my husband, he likes to, it's just kind of weird. Kind of weird. Let's see. How old is Naomi? I'm looking at her age here. Naomi is 37. 37. Wow. Okay. I didn't think she was that old. Well, good for them. All right. let's continue on here. Kind of weird here, but she said that she looked at the custom belt and said she would lay it down. A Baby Uso chant started, and Naomi said she would give the Heifers a chance to do what they wanted with the title, and said that she would be coming back to pick up where she left off. And whoever has that title when I do, I strongly advise you proceed with caution. And left. Yeah, so I'm happy for it. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about it. So I've already said enough. So we had Cole talk about Stephanie McCool and how she was supposed to have a title match at Clash in Paris. And Cole announced the start time for Monday's Raw on Netflix in Birmingham, England. The broadcast team listed the following matches on next week's show, which is Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez and Penta versus Kofi Kingston. And Graves hyped up John Cena for Friday in Dublin, Ireland. We then have Jey Uso and Bron Breakker in an Extreme Rules match, physical match, long match, 20 minutes. Long by today's standards, for sure. The finish was Breakker setting up a table inside the ring. Jey superkicked Breakker, who ended up on the table. Jey went up top, but Reed shoved him off. The fans chanted Roman Reigns, and then his entrance music played while Breakker was at ringside, and then Breakker ran right into a spear by Roman Reigns, who then hit Reed with a Superman punch, and Reigns rolled Breakker inside the ring. Jey superkicked Breakker, who landed on the table, and then Jey hit the Uso splash that put Breakker through the table and got the 3 count. After Jey Uso won, Reigns helped Jey out, and his music played while Reigns was chalking trash at Bronson Reed. And Reed said he would take Roman's shoes again, but Heyman talked him out of going there, and Reed hit his own forehead with a chair while the credits rolled, the producer credits rolled. So that's good. I mean, first of all, you can't get a DQ finish with an Extreme Rules match. The only way to get a crappy finish is if there's some kind of referee stoppage, which did not take place here, thank God. And this was a very eventful Raw, again, not just because of the announcement by Naomi and her once again having to relinquish the women's world title, but also because of Roman Reigns, an unexpected appearance by him on Raw. The tension between LA Knight and CM Punk, that is right now just kind of a professional courtesy that they're aligning with one another. It's a common enemy type of alliance, which is certainly plausible here. Becky Lynch defending her Intercontinental Championship. Overall, a solid Raw that certainly has a lot going for it. One that continues to push towards Clash in Paris, which is, again, just 12 days away? 12 days, I think. 12 days away from Clash in Paris. And it's going to be, I think, a really good PLE, despite the fact that Naomi is no longer competing, and we don't know if Brock Lesnar is going to be there. Probably not. John Cena, although, will be, and he'll be taking on Logan Paul. But yes, Brock Lesnar could certainly interfere there and once again screw with John Cena. But the Brock Lesnar appearance, doesn't that feel like 5 weeks ago now? Crazy how quickly that kind of thing goes. And also, like I said, with the Hulk Hogan, the passing of Hulk Hogan a number of weeks ago, doesn't that feel like a year ago now? No one's talking about Hulk Hogan anymore. The biggest name in professional wrestling, the biggest name to ever come out of the genre of professional wrestling. No one's even talking about it anymore. So I just wanted to bring that full circle and show you how quickly things come in and out of our minds, despite how big the event may be, despite how catastrophic a death of whatever superstar in entertainment or in sports comes about. We move on so quick because there's so much information flowing into our brains all the time from this glowing box that we all carry around in our pockets. I mean, we have bad attention spans as it is as human beings, generally speaking. But you put a device in our pockets that's made for distracting. Its sole purpose is to distract you, and it can go anywhere you can go and have a connection nearly anywhere you can go. And you're expediting the problem. exponentially increasing the issue of people not having no attention spans and the news cycles just being so fast. And again, no matter how catastrophic the event, things seemingly never last more than a week. Sometimes only days before we move on to the next thing. So while there's, again, no news with the Hulk Hogan front, I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. It's like, oh yeah, wow, Hulk Hogan died. Right? Crazy how things go and how quickly life moves, really. But that'll do it for this podcast here, for this episode of the WWE podcast. I'd encourage you to go to Patreon and go to an ad-free experience there, patreon.com/WWE podcast. And also go to Apple Podcasts and go ad-free there. Click the subscribe button and you'll be on your way to getting rid of all those pain-in-the-ass ads that you've heard throughout this show. And all the other shows as well. This is our entire library ad-free. This is not just the shows moving forward. It's everything you've heard up till this point. And we post nearly every single day, if not every day, whether it's a retro show, a rewind show, a current event show with SmackDown, with Raw, with the After Dark show, with our flagship show, which is the Week in Review done on Sundays. Whatever the show is, ad-free. All to your ears where you just sit back and listen. And I hope you consider it. And if not, you can always give us a 5-star rating and keep those positive comments coming on Spotify. I'm really loving that. I'm saying that kind of half tongue in cheek because it's pretty controversial over there, but it's fun. It's fun. So, all right, that'll do it for me. I'll be back on Friday with your mailbag. If you want to contribute to the mailbag, you can do that. Mailbag@WWEpodcast.com. If you are a patron, your emails and voicemails get read up front. So keep that in mind. It's another one of the benefits of going to Patreon. And that'll do it for me. Again, hit a subscribe button over there on YouTube because I'm doing more video, and the more people that watch and, all the viewership and everything, if the numbers go up, I'll be encouraged to post more on there as well. So thank you, everybody. I'll be back in a couple days. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.